Karen.
Yes.
Wouldn't it be great to have a blueprint for our lives?
It would be.
Right? A map of sorts to align ourselves with our soul contracts and our spiritual gifts so that we can make the best of the opportunities this time around?
It would be. Now, would you be able to veer off the map a little bit? Or is it like you have to follow the roads?
I mean, that's what our guest is going to be talking about, right?
Perfect.
Because we are in luck. This week, we have someone with us that's going to provide us an exact blueprint just by using our birthday and birth name.
Ooh.
And she can even help us to utilize the energies of our current personal cycles to help with future planning and allow us to take advantage of the universal energies around us.
I need that.
But no, we're not talking about astrology. If you're interested in learning more about yourself and your unique purpose in this lifetime, then this is the episode for you.
My name is Will.
And I'm Karen.
And unlike Mulder and Scully,
we both want to believe.
So we've embarked on a journey of discovery.
We've talked to people deeply entrenched in the spiritual and metaphysical world.
We've thrown ourselves into weird and wonderful experiences. I even joined a coven of witches.
And wait, you joined a coven?
Yep, all in the interest of finding something.
Anything.
That will prove that there's something beyond this physical,
three-dimensional world we all live in.
This is the Skeptic Metaphysicians.
Hey there, I'm Will.
And I'm Karen.
And welcome to another episode of the Skeptic Metaphysicians. Our guest this week is Lauren Drake. Lauren is a professional numerologist and Reiki practitioner who found her calling in the holistic healing arts later in life after suffering from corporate burnout. Sound familiar, Karen?
Oh, yeah.
Now, following her intuition, the universal signs, and her understanding of herself gained from numerology, she stepped away from her 15-plus year career to follow her dreams and transform her passion of numerology and energy healing into her destiny. And now she practices this modality full time. So you know she is an expert. Now, this has allowed her to focus solely on helping her clients also understand themselves and set their own paths to their unique destiny while helping them balance energetically to live a more fulfilling life. I am so excited to talk about numerology and life path with Lauren. Lauren, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Will. Thank you, Karen. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm super excited to talk to you guys.
Well, I can just imagine some people listening to this and going, numerology, but there's so many different myths or misconceptions about numerology.
Mm-hmm.
Can we just set the table? What exactly is numerology and why should someone believe it?
Yeah, sure. Definitely a great place to start. So numerology, it's actually an ancient metaphysical science of the study of numbers, specifically the frequency and energy that numbers emit, right? So that's under the belief that the numbers are connected to the divine. And this it dates back to at least 500 BC. There was a Chaldean system out of Egypt, Babylonia. There were similar systems being developed in Rome and Japan and all over the world around that time. So I think that's really cool and speaks to how those ancient cultures really understood that numbers held the energies of the universe. Right? So today typically in our society, we utilize Western numerology, which Greek philosopher Pythagoras is credited to being the father of Western numerology. And so he came up with this numerology chart so that attributes a number to each letter of the alphabet. So utilizing that, you can take basically anything with a name and break it down to its unique code and decode what the universal energies are that it holds. Now, using that for our name, we can figure out our unique destiny and our emotional temperaments and all sorts of different things of why we're here and what we're here to experience in this lifetime.
See, I don't know if I would want to know that with my name, because these days my name is not the name to have. Who named me? What is going on? It's all bad.
And are you going to talk to the manager? That's the only
I do. I want to talk to the manager who named these people.
Well, now, is this Pythagoras the same Pythagoras that has the theorem that we all learned about?
Very busy.
He's a very busy man.
Definitely a
very
great mind.
Right. Well, I've got lots of questions, and I think they're going to be obvious to a lot of people who are listening to the show. The first one, of course, has to be how? How is it possible that numbers could have a vibration that will actually dictate what I do or what my destiny is in life?
All right. Well, think about everything around us as energy, right? Even just the physical objects we see around us are energy. There's constantly energy flowing through the universe, and even our bodies are made up of energy. right? And so why shouldn't numbers as well carry a specific energy frequency as well? And I even think of it as like, I like to compare numbers to think of music notes on a scale, right? You can have a C that you're playing at a certain octave. It emits a certain frequency and sound. Same thing with a number. It emits a specific sound or vibration. And that way we just can't physically hear it with our ears. There are specific people in the world, though, that do have that natural talent that actually can hear numbers. I do not have that, unfortunately, but yeah, there are people around that can. Yep.
Is it when someone actually says the number, like number 4, and there's a vibration that goes on, or is it actually just intrinsic in the number?
It's intrinsic in the number as well. And it could be also your vibration of your voice as well, right? But intrinsic in the number. And even when you're seeing numbers, it's just like emitting this vibration to you and that you're taking into your energy field. And going back to that example of the music note, right? You can also play a low C and then jump up an octave and play a high C. It's the same note, but it's a higher frequency. And that's how numbers also exist in the universe, where there's higher and lower vibrational expressions of the number. And that's how you come up with these different attributes, like the light and the shadow side of each number.
What? Upper and lower vibrations of number? I am so confused. This is okay. Oh my God, Karen, I'm going to take over, so you better ask a question.
Well, I have a question, but we're not there yet, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, then astrology, I can see how we're all made of energies. We're mostly made out of water, so just like the lunar cycles affect the water in the world, like the tides, I can see how it would affect the water inside of our bodies. Same with our celestial bodies, planets, comets, that kind of thing. But numbers, vibrations, this is a little bit harder to wrap your head around.
Well, I like to think of numerology kind of being like a more concise version of the astrological energies around us. Like it's an easier way to understand those. For me personally, I really enjoy astrology as well, but it's much more complicated. There's so many different movement of the planets. And like you said, there's luminaries, all the different energies. Numerology kind of like condenses this to be a little bit more digestible, especially when you're talking about the universal energies around us, and even your personal cycle. So it kind of like summarizes those astrological energies that you're dealing with at the same time. And you'll even see that typically if you have a numerology prediction of a universal cycle, or like this year is a 7-year, right? And even you have universal months. We're currently in March is a universal 1 month, which was right alignment with what you're hearing from the astrologers saying that, there's new beginnings right now. We're in Aries season now, right? We're starting a whole new astrological calendar. It's right aligned with the one. The one is all about new beginnings, right? So I think that numerology really ties all those energies together in a nice little more concise summary to understand.
I want to kind of go to the names again that you had mentioned.
Yeah.
I can understand. I mean, I got to wrap my head around it, but I can kind of understand, if the numerology that related to someone's birth date. But names, I mean, people kind of choose those willy-nilly, and then you can change your name. My mom changed her name, so does that change your energy? Like, what happens if you do that?
Yeah. So I believe with numerology, we believe that your soul comes in knowing what your name is going to be. And that's the vibrational frequency that you want to represent you and all the qualities that you want to take on in the physical form, right? So that name that you're given at birth, that's what we use to decode your birth chart or your numerology birth chart. But if you do change your name, you do have those, there are some slight energetic changes and frequencies with that name change as well. But you'll always have that same unique name from birth, which will be, that was what your soul wanted to come in as.
Okay. So you mentioned it's not just your name, but also your birth date that goes into this whole numerology thing. And Karen's question was a good one, because my birth name is very, very different than the name I go by. It's just because it's a different translation in English to Spanish. So my name is Guillermo in Spanish, but Guillermo is William in Spanish. And when I moved to this country, people couldn't say Guillermo, so I changed it legally to William. Which one do you use then? Because they're both the same. They're both my name. It was just,
that's a good question.
Well, thank you. Every once in a
So
while.
I would actually use your original name. We would use Guillermo. And actually, instead of basing it on the English numerology chart, we would use a Spanish numerology chart.
Oh, come
You'd
on.
always
There's
wanna
an
go
English
back-
and Spanish numerology chart. There's differences?
Well,
No.
there's more letters.
No matter what. Yeah. So it's based on your native language. So you'll
Oh,
have
no.
different numbers according to that, your native language alphabet.
Oh my gosh. So I went to your site and I did the numerology thing. So I was like this, woohoo, I know what my life path is and all that kind of stuff. And I was really happy about it. So now you're about to tell me that was all wrong.
Womp,
No,
womp, womp.
well, your birthday's not going to change, right? So you still used your correct birthday. So across the board, everyone's birthday is going to be calculated the same. It's just if you have a different native language that your name based in when you were born, that's when we would use a non-English system. But it will calculated the same.
All right. Did you say that astrology was less complicated or more complicated?
I know, right?
Right. Okay. All right. Well,
That's why people like me exist. So you don't have to do all the calculations yourself.
Perfect.
Yes. We're so glad to know you. Well, then let's get to it. How would you calculate your numerology, your number, based on all the information we just talked about?
All right. So your most essential number is your life path number, which is calculated based on your birth date. So the easiest way to do that is literally take the month, the day, and the year of your birth and reduce them down each to a single digit, then add together. So let me walk through a little example. And I'm going to use an example that has a little exception in it too, so that you can get an idea of how it works.
Great.
Because there's something called master numbers in numerology as well. Those are the double digit numbers. So, for example, say somebody's birthday is November 27th, 1983. So first you're going to take the number of the month. So we've got November is an 11. So now 11 being a master number, technically you don't reduce that until you add all the components together. If it was, say, October, then that would be the 10 would get reduced to a 1, right? You go 1 plus 0 is 1. But back to the November example. So you've got an 11 for the month. And then if they're born on the 27th, we're going to go 2 plus 7 equals 9. Okay. So now we're talking about an 11 and a 9. And then we're going to take 1983 and add all those numbers up and reduce it down. So right here, 1 plus 9 is 10. Plus 8, we've got 18. Plus 3, 21. So then when you take 2 plus 1, that equals 3. So altogether, we've got 11 plus 9 plus 3, right? 11 plus 9 is 20, plus 3 is 23. Then finally reduce 2 plus 3 is 5. So the life path number of this individual is 5. Does that make sense? I know it's a lot.
It does. It does. So I'm going along with you and I'm doing mine. If I'm not mistaken, my birthday is June 17th.
Okay.
And I guess I'm about to reveal my age to everybody out there, but 1967. So
Okay.
if that is correct, it's a 6 plus 8 plus 5, right? Because 6
Correct.
being June,
Yes.
8 is 1 plus 7 would be 8,
Yes.
right? For 17.
Mhm.
And in 1967, you add all those.
Reduce them.
Thank you. Reduce them. You get to a 5, if I'm not
Correct.
mistaken. Is that
Yes.
right? Okay.
Mhm.
So then you add all those. So 19, and then reduce that even further, that would be 10. So my life path is 1.
Correct. Yes. Actually, yes, you'd have a 10-1 life path. There's something in the numerology that I practice. They're called high numbers. 10 is considered a high number, which is very similar to a master number.
Ooh, I'm a master
Ooh.
number.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
master
right.
number.
So there's more
Great.
potentials with it. But yes, technically you are the root number 1 as a life path. You'd always look at that. And then if you have either a high number or the master numbers, 11, 22, 33, and so on, you live at this, you have this potential to live at a higher vibration, more potential, different attributes and things that you have that you're able to tap into in order to live up these bigger achievements of the master number or the high number.
I'm an 8.
Okay.
Did you just do that
All
all in your head?
right. I'm good at math.
I math is not my strong suit. I actually have to use my fingers to figure out.
Oh, even with all of this, I still write it all down. I have to see it. Yeah, I'm not very good at just going through in my head like that too. I like to write it down and see it as well. So,
Have you met my friend Karen? Okay, so Karen's life path is what, at 8,
Mhm.
Karen? Okay, so then I assume that each number has a different. It's like Gemini and Scorpios and
Mhm.
Cancers. So, and we'll get into those, but before we do that, that's your birth date.
Correct.
What does your name, how do you calculate your name? And is that, so the birthday is life path. So what does your name tell you?
So in your name, actually, there's 3 different numbers we can get from your name. So like I said, by taking that numerology chart from Pythagoras, if you have your name's in English, right, you just take the English version, and breaking down each letter of the name to a number, and then adding them together by reduction, just like we did for the birth date, but you do that with your name. And then, so with all of the numbers together, all of your letters and everything added up, that's what we call your expression number. So your expression number is the unique talents and abilities that you've acquired over your lifetime, it's like these skills you have at your disposal to make things happen in your life. It's like I say, it's like how you manifest things in your life.
Do you use your whole name or just your first name or
your whole name? So you'll want to use your first, middle, and your last name. And even if you have like a hyphenated last name with 2 names, you'll use all of that, right? Because that's technically what your soul came into this incarnation as.
So what about
you're going to be busy.
I know. I've got a long name.
You're doing math for an hour.
And you know how good I am at math.
2 hours.
But what about, because in our culture, we use our confirmation name also when we're confirmed in the Catholic Church. So my full name is Guillermo Alberto Nicolás Rodriguez Calas, if you take it all into account. So do you use your Catholic name, your confirmation name, or no?
Technically, okay. I also grew up Catholic, and typically you're confirmed around 14, 15 years old, correct? Was that the same for you?
Yeah, it was one of them.
Yeah. So you're still going to use your name given at birth.
Okay.
So although, yes, that whatever name, like I said, a name change, adding a name, things like that will add some extra energetic qualities, but it's not going to change that. Basically like the soul contract, that soul blueprint that you came in as.
Okay. So then to take even more specifically, we use our father's last name and our mother's last name, where here in this country, it's just first name, middle name, last name. We use first name, middle name, father's last name, mother's last name. So I assume we'd use all 4.
Yes. If that's literally what's on your birth certificate.
Okay.
Like that is officially your name or what you were given at birth, then yes, you would use the full name.
Okay. That will shorten the time I do math for a little bit.
I didn't even know you'd been confirmed.
Yeah.
I learned a new thing
Yeah.
besides the metaphysical stuff. I always learn stuff about Will.
Yeah. I was confirmed, believe it or not. Yep.
They let you in?
They didn't know what they were getting themselves into. I suppose there are different charts for that because we talked about the English versus Spanish charts and all that kind of stuff. So, you know what? Let's take a quick break since this is a nice segue piece right here. When we come back after this really quick break, we're going to go into what the life path numbers are, what they mean. We'll dive a little bit into that and we'll see if we can't calculate what our destiny is. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Skeptic Metaphysicians. We are talking to Lauren Drake, who is a numerologist and healer, and she is here to give us all of the information that we need to know how the numbers in our birth name and birth date actually help us to align with our soul's purpose in this lifetime. And prior to the break, we calculated how we come up with our life path number, and I'm happy to report that I am not a master number, but I'm a high number, right? So I'm taking whatever, I'll take it. So
I hear that all the time. I'm a high number, Karen.
Yeah. In fact, from now on, I would like to be addressed as high number Will.
So I'm wondering, and we kind of talked about astrology being, complicated and different, but in astrology, certain signs go well together. Is there something similar to that in numerology? So if I'm an 8 and he's a 5, is that a good match, or should I?
Yeah,
start making other plans?
Right.
Oh my God! Yeah. I did not just go there.
Yeah, you can definitely compare the different attributes and qualities of the numbers. But just like astrology, so in numerology, you're not just one number alone. Like with astrology, you have your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign. You have all those different things, along with all the different planetary aspects and everything that affect your personality. In numerology, all your numbers of your core chart actually affect that, like how you actually, go about life and how your view on things and your belief systems. So really you'd want to look at the entire chart, comparing that to whoever your partner, right? And say like, okay, here are your, the places where you might find challenge, like where maybe you guys might butt heads, or you can look at here's where you align, and these are your certain beliefs and things that are similar. And I never like to tell anybody that, just because of, I wouldn't, no. I don't even like to say that, you won't fit together because of certain numbers. Just know that all relationships, there's going to be challenge. I mean, that's why we're here in relationships for a reason. We're trying to learn lessons, right? And a lot of times in your relationships, though, that's where your greatest lessons can lie. So even if I see two people that have very disharmonious, in numerology, we call it harmony versus disharmony with numbers. Even if I see a very disharmonious chart, I can still say, okay, well, yeah, here's maybe where the energies you guys want to avoid, and here's what you may have a challenge with. But you can always choose to push through those and learn from each other, right? And learn to bring in those other energies in that way. And I know personally, like when I look at my husband and my chart, we technically look like opposites as well. But to me, it's like we fit very well together. We learn from each other. And I think that's really about where your souls are in your evolution, if you're able to take that challenge on.
And accept other people's paths. We talked about it a lot, Karen, about how many different paths out there. The important thing is that you accept that your path is not the same as others.
Exactly.
So just because you have a disharmonious life path in mind, it doesn't mean that we need to separate. We just have to accept each other's life path and support each other in our moving forward.
But actually, you guys, if you look just at your life path number, the 1 and the 8 actually they're harmonious because they're both about achievement. They're both about wanting to be a leader, right? They're both very action-based, dynamic numbers. So you're very much in alignment there, where maybe I don't know your other numbers, but maybe where you might have a challenge is because maybe you're both a little bit too controlling, a little bit wanting to take the lead, right? Because you both have those leadership qualities about you, have very strong will centers, or, your solar plexus is very well developed with those numbers.
Right.
Well, maybe we shouldn't look further, Will. While we're ahead. No. So you have the numbers for your birth date and you have the numbers for your name. And when you're looking at the chart, what other numbers are you calculating to create this chart?
Okay. So there's actually a couple other numbers that we derive from the name.
Oh.
So we talk about the expression number, right? Which is your full name, all the letters in your name. But then you can also break it down to, if you take just the vowels, right? Add up just the vowels in your full name. That gives you what we call your soul urge number, which that speaks to your belief systems, how you think, just your natural desires. And this number is more something that people that you're very close to may know this number in you, but it's not something that you probably widely share with everybody else. So that's all, like I said, the vowels of your name. And then you can also, if you take just the consonants of your name and add those all up and reduce it the same way, you come up with what we call your personality number. So that is like how you project your energies out into the world and how other people perceive you in the world around you. Huh. So there's many different things, so all of these numbers together, and there's even what we call a birthday number, which we didn't talk about yet, which again is based on the day of your birth. Like that one's a little bit easier to calculate, right? Literally just the day. So that speaks to some innate talents you were born in the world with, right? So those come on board right when you're born. That is literally the day of your birth. And so taking all these 5 numbers together can give you a really good look at just someone's natural disposition, their emotional temperaments, like I said, how they believe, their talents, their abilities. But most of all, what the life path really tells us, the most essential part of it, are the lessons that your soul came in this lifetime to learn and what you really want to focus on this lifetime.
Oh boy.
And so I'm still kind of stuck on the name thing. It's because I feel like, someone else is choosing your name. Mm-hmm. And for example, when our daughter was born, we thought for sure she was going to be a boy. We didn't have any tests done. We just kind of felt, so we had a boy's name, middle name, and then we had a backup boy's name, middle name.
Yeah.
We had some options, maybe not 100% sure if it was going to be a girl because we just knew she was going to be a boy. So, I mean, it's kind of a funny story. When she was born, Will thought our poor son was deformed
True story.
until he realized, oh, she's a girl.
Not a boy.
I was quite concerned.
But we named her originally Sophia.
Okay.
And after, she was, I would say, for maybe a good 10 minutes. And then when they came and they brought us the birth certificate and they were, okay, how do you spell Sophia? We're like, nope, Sienna. And we changed her name like right at the last minute. So which name would she be supposed to have?
I would say go with Sienna, right? That's what you decided to go with. That's what was documented. Because I believe other numerologists are under the belief that your soul and even our children's souls, they choose us, right? They choose their parents and how they want to incarnate and the situations that will be best for their alignment for learning their lessons. So, my take on that, on your story is that, yes, you had this in mind, but she came into the world and you're like, her energy just doesn't align with that. And her soul knew, right? She already knew that it was going to be changed to Sienna, right? And so that's what it should have been. That's what's in alignment with her vibration.
And Karen, I would say there was a moment where we just looked at each other. We just divine inspiration. It's Sienna, right? I would say someone said, no, it's not Sophia. It needs to be Sienna.
And you did not like Sienna at first.
Intuitively, it wasn't something that I was resonating with until that moment when we looked at each other and we said, yeah, she looks like a Sienna. How does a baby look like a name, right? It's intuitively we
it's
knew
very intuitive, yeah.
The energies were Sienna.
But interestingly, now she's choosing to go by her middle name, Blaze.
Okay.
So
she's just kind of maybe feeling more of the energies. Like if we calculated that out, what the kind of energies around there, that's just what she's feeling right now and feeling more aligned with. But like I said, that will still never change her overall soul's lessons that she's here to learn.
Okay.
Yeah, we are going to be reaching out to you for sure to create some charts for us because
I love to work with you.
This is fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And I know we've got to get to the life path numbers because I know everyone in the audience is screaming, why does it not feel? But I got to ask the question, if I'm a number one and I go, that does not sound like me at all. It's a two-part question, actually. Have you had people say to you, absolutely not, this is nothing at all like me? And if you've had that, is there a way to change? If like, I don't like being a leader, I just want to follow. Can I just make up my mind and say, nope, I'm not leading and be a follower from that point forward? Change your destiny that way, even though your number says not to?
Okay, well, first of all, let's talk about the alignment to the number. So it is pretty rare that people say like, no, that doesn't sound like me. Because I think you will find that with numerology, it is extremely accurate to the point where it's almost scary. That you just will feel so seen and just heard and you just acknowledged in that way. Because you'll be like, wow, this really is me down to all the numbers. But there have been a few people, and there are different things in the numerology chart that can kind of block one's connection to their life path number. But also keep in mind that your life path number represents the lessons you're here to learn, right? So you don't automatically come in already like as a newborn, like I'm a leader, I'm ready to go. I'm going to, just
you didn't know me when I was a baby.
He was that kid.
And so that's your path. That's what you were meant to learn. And yes, you have some of those just innate qualities, but that's the lessons that someone's trying to learn. So I would usually look into be like, okay, are you living more on the shadow side of the number? Maybe that's the case. And maybe that's why you don't feel like you're fully embodying that life path number.
Gotcha.
Or there's other aspects that could speak to why someone isn't. Like if there are stronger numbers in, say, like your expression, your soul urge number, or your personality number, if they're really dominating numbers, like if they're very strong, passionate numbers like 8 and 9, and then say somebody in their life path, they have a 2. Which is, it's much more subtle and gentle and go with the flow. And so that may block that connection with that compassionate, slower energy because they feel the need to, they have so much pent up energy in that, the 8 and 9, that it kind of takes over their chart. And so that's when I would work with the person and just realize like, okay, yes, these are all part of you. And these are all beautiful aspects of your personality. But we need to try to focus more and do more like heart-centered meditations and different things to connect to your heart to bring out those qualities, because that really is what this person's soul came in here to learn. Right.
Gotcha.
And to your question about, can you change it? Well, you can't change your birthday, right? Once you're born, you're born then. But what I would say is anyone can choose to represent any qualities they want, honestly. And that's why I like to say that numerology, it's a good spiritual tool. Like it's never going to, dictate anything in someone's life. And everyone always should use their intuition above all. Like that's always number one. And what fits for you and what feels right for you. Numerology is just a nice tool to be able to help put you on that path if you don't really know, or if you're just looking for that validation that can really help. And so if someone's like, I don't want to do that, I'll say, well, unfortunately, you're probably going to have a little more struggles in your life if you're pushing against that, because those are the experiences that your soul wanted to learn in this lifetime. So it's going to be more of a challenge. Instead, if you accept and just embrace it and really kind of lean into the aspects that you do like about that number, and then all the other aspects will kind of come on board over time.
You mentioned the shadow side of the numbers. Is that is it the opposite? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah. So the shadow, it's like, remember I mentioned earlier about talking about numbers like note, like octaves, right? Mm-hmm. Music octaves. So you have like the lower representation of a note, right? Is at a certain frequency. Then double that is the next octave up, but it's the same note. Mm-hmm. And so you can think of like living on the light side of the number is the good kind of nice qualities and attributes of that number that it represents on the higher frequency. On the shadow side, it's more of the challenges that come along with it, the lower vibrational feelings and things that are associated with that number as well.
Okay. This is so interesting.
It's fascinating. All right. Well, this is the time that you've all been waiting for. Let's go into it. Let's start with the number one. Let's just start at some random. Let's start at some random spot. Let's start with the number one.
It happens to be your number. Anyway,
coincidence.
Oh, look at that. Wow. Who knew? Okay. So let's dive just briefly into some of these life path numbers. So people who have calculated their life path numbers while they've been listening can now have kind of an idea of what they're about.
Yeah. Okay. So, yep, perfect. Let's start with number one. It just makes sense. It's the beginning of numerology too. We're starting with the 1 through 9, right? So with the 1, I mentioned earlier that 1 is all about leadership though. And 1 is about new beginnings and venturing into new territory. So if you have a 1 life path, you really desire to stand out. You really desire to achieve and have that leadership quality. And just, you love new beginnings, starting something new insights, new ideas. Those are just a real delight to you. You have a very strong willpower and can sometimes be very blunt, probably very much just say things how they are, right? Because you're just noticing things and saying it and you're in your power in that way. But your path really involves developing your leadership skills by guiding other people with your strong sense of direction. But they're also the ones that are going to usher in the new. Like they're those, like I said, those explorers, the pioneers that are going to be the first ones to do things and try things out. And ones are all also about finding their own individuality and standing up into their self in that way and not shying away from standing out. So definitely as a 1, it's part of your lessons to really practice your courage and stand your ground and live in alignment in your own path.
That doesn't sound like
God.
That doesn't sound like me at all.
No,
it's like you just described him.
Yeah, I feel so.
Wow.
I feel so vulnerable. Oh my gosh. Okay, so
that's incredible.
Yeah, that
Holy cow.
That pretty much nails me to a T. So, what are obviously the negative sides of things would be living too far into ego and being too bullheaded and all that kind of stuff, right? Which would never happen to me, thank God. But
no.
You encompass the whole number. I'm kidding.
Okay, so then is 10 different because you mentioned it was a high number? And
right.
I guess we should go into like what master numbers are versus regular numbers.
Yeah. So, right. Like I said, so the type of numerology that I practice, 10 is considered a high number, which is very similar to the energies of master number 22. Master numbers, they're a higher potential, more energy. There's more challenges and lessons that come along with it as well. But you have more potential for achievement with the high number or the master number. And as a 10, like I said, being very similar to the 22, which we call the master builder, it's all about the energy of being very connected to the divine, right? Because master numbers have just naturally are more connected spiritually. you're all about ushering in these new, different, exciting modalities and insights and things. But the 22 is, or the 10, I'm sorry, like I said, similar to that master builder energy, you have all the intuition and that of like a master number 11, but then you're really meant to build something lasting and tangible within the material world. So like I said, you have this podcast, right? You're literally making something physical and having these teachings that you're sharing with a large number of people, because master numbers really also represent influencing a larger number of people than just your close, intimate relationships around you.
You keep talking and you keep describing me to a T, and it's really scary. It's funny.
It's weird.
We're in the process of building something right now that's right in line with what you're talking about. So that's exciting to hear.
And even with your work, he has created this incredible family out of the people that work for him.
With me.
With you, but you're their boss. But
I'm their leader.
But yeah, whatever. The semantics. Just let me finish, please.
Sorry.
I'm trying to compliment you. But it is. It's like he's chosen these people that work very well. I have this incredible work ethic, but all would like walk in front of a bus for him. Not for any other reason other than they really value him. And have been told by many of them that he is the best, they've said boss, that they've ever worked for. And so that's just when you were talking about, leadership and all of that being a strong point. Oh my gosh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's really weird.
And even let me speak a little bit more on that master, or the high number, right? Because like I said, related to the master number 22, the 22 and the 10, they're both very, very able to like recruit people to help them like build their goals and achieve their big, sometimes lofty dreams, but that's really something they can achieve because the people are following them, not because, they just, want to find someone to follow, but it's like they can see that vision that you have, and you're very good at sharing that and communicating that and breaking things down so other people can understand. And they just naturally want to follow that and want to help out. So, it seems like you're definitely living up to this big number and what you've built, in your work.
It's amazing. It's incredible. This is not the one criticism that someone can have about astrology is how generalized information is. This is pretty specific, right?
Very specific, yeah.
Yeah, if you're not a leader, you're going to know. It's like, no, I don't know what she's talking about. But this is very much pegs me very clearly. Mm-hmm. So, okay, so then let's move forward. What are the other numbers?
Yeah.
So we can...
All right, so number 2. Right. I mentioned earlier that 2, it's a very gentle, it's more of a feminine number. It has a lot of the divine feminine in it. So very sensitive soul, these people that have a life path number 2. And they have a deep desire to relate closely with other people. And it's also very connected to 2 is also another spiritual number, very intuitive as well. But they're also a very good listener, right? They're really, because they have that compassionate side, they're very empathic and empathetic. They can really like allow someone to have their time and listen to their side of things. And 2s are just naturally about balance, right? And so they're able to see both sides of the coin and in situations, and they make very good therapists, right? Because they're very good listeners. They can help people see different sides and different perspectives that they haven't even thought of. But sometimes because the 2 is very sensitive, it can tend to be a little bit overly sensitive. And lacking barriers. So a lot of 2s that a lot of my clients will they feel that like they're very empathic. They really are affected by the energies around them. So it's very important for someone that has, 2 life path or 2s in their core numbers to be very, maintain their energetic hygiene, cleaning out their aura and things like that. And just being careful about what they're letting influence in their life as well. Okay. But their main lesson really is related to the desire to build intimate relationships. They're really the type that wants to really know people very closely. Like they're not the type that's going to want to have big, huge friend group that they, aren't real close to. They want just a few friends that they really can dive in deep with. And part of their path is also continually developing their intuition and their spiritual connection as well. Okay. So number 3. Yep.
Number
3 is the most youthful, like childlike number of all the numbers. It's extremely creative, very social, and just lighthearted. So that's really around the lessons of the 3. The 3 wants to learn how to just live in the moment and just be optimistic and really just see life as like the glass half full. even through challenging situations. They have very open minds. They're very curious. They're very playful as well, and can really experience, like, see the magic in the mundane around them because they're living in the moment. Because
Sienna definitely lives in the moment. We can't hurry her up to save our lives.
I know.
We'd love for her to live a little bit less in the moment.
Right. So, and with a 3 too, though, because you're very open-minded and we like to be, very curious, you can tend to have a lot of interest and be exploring all these, but maybe become a little bit bored if you're not mentally stimulated enough, or if there's not, enough going on. And 3s are also all about expressing themselves. So it really is part of their lessons to learn how to freely express themselves, whether it be, written, orally, or if it's with whatever they create, if they're artistic, however it comes out for them. But also, like I said, being optimistic and learning to see the lessons and see the, positive side of challenging situations as well, and pushing through those difficult times in order to demonstrate to other people that there's just these natural joys that life has to offer. And a personal example here, I'm actually a life path 3. And, probably years ago, if I would have seen this, I was like, that doesn't align for me, because I can be very moody. I've gone through some depression and things like that throughout life. But I look at that as, it's like, right, that was my lesson that I needed to work through. That was what I was trying to learn. Yes, I had times when I could be just very playful and childlike and fun. I had very serious times, but that was, like I said, part of that lesson that I was trying to learn. And now I have more of an understanding. When I am going through a little bit more of the harder times, I can see the lighter side and be like, no, I'm meant to push through this. I'm meant to still be this optimistic, bringing joy to other people. And like I said, seeing the magic in the mundane.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
All right. So number 4. Number 4 is all about structure and about planning. Think of, right, there's 4 sides to a square, very structured in that way. 4s definitely like to future plan, right? They don't want to have like any uncertainty on their path. They're definitely all about building stability of home, and definitely topics related to money, home, safety, things like that are very important to them. They also can act very maturely, whereas we're talking about the 3 was a little playful and childlike. 4 is more serious. They're much more want to deal with their responsibilities. They'll put the responsibilities first. They can also be very detail oriented, sometimes maybe even leaning into a little bit of perfectionism. So they definitely have that ability to set their emotions aside and deal with things pragmatically. 4s are also very strong-willed and can be very decisive. They can also put up very good strong external, internal boundaries. Sometimes a little bit too much, where the fact that they may hold themselves back, where they want to be too safe and not take healthy risks and not get out of their comfort zone. So it is really part of their learning path to learn how they can still create that stability and feel that safety for themselves and build a firm foundation while also not boxing themselves in and still being able to live life to the fullest. All right, number 5. So 5s are the free soul, untamable, adventurous kind of energy. They really want to live completely to the fullest, explore everything, have all the fun, just do everything, try and jump in. They really desire change, and they can be extremely flexible and being good at improvising with situations. 5s are also all about their personal freedom, right? They do not, like I said, they do not like to get boxed in. They want to do things their way, and they sometimes need to learn the hard way because of that. Maybe they're even a little bit rebellious because they want to do things their hard way and their specific way. And they're going to be the ones that are questioning the norm and saying well, why do I need to do that? Those kind of energies. They also love travel because they love to see the world. They love adventure. They're very social, right? So they really want to expand those social networks. They're very good at it too. They're very good at communication and expressing themselves. And they just have that natural charm that kind of draws people in, that helps out with that communication and socializing. So, but their path really involves defining what freedom means to them and being able to live fully, but not going too far, right? And not still live the fullest, but not bringing too many risky situations to them and finding that good balance.
Sounds like a fun number.
It is a fun one. Are you sure I'm not a 5?
I know. I want to be that.
You may have some in your chart. Myself too. I have a lot of 5s in my chart as well. And so I feel that pull all the time. But there, like I said, there are shadow sides too, right? We tend to be a little bit more rebellious. Maybe even sometimes people can run into more self-destructive tendencies, having a lot of fives.
Yep. Definitely
That
got
makes
some
sense.
fives in me. Yep.
Yeah.
So number 6. 6 is that like parental energy. It is the nurturer of all numbers. It has this extremely compassionate heart, very family oriented, very much wants to, not only do they have the qualities of the 4 where they want to have their responsibilities and build up a home, but they take it further where they're like, I want to feel that belonging. I want to have that family around me, be a part of a community, just really know that they are really an integral part of feeling that belonging. And they can be even though they're emotional, they can be more emotionally mature and they understand how to work with their emotions more. They definitely love all people, animals, nature. These are just that really, like, it's a kind of mother nature kind of energy as well, because they really want to try to foster harmony in their environments. That's big for them. They do not like things, cause ripples. They want things to just be smooth and make sure everyone's happy. 6s are really all about taking care of other people around them that they love, and sometimes at the detriment to themselves, because they're constantly putting others first and holding back their own feelings, and because they don't want to rock the boat. So their path really involves learning the lesson to practice that unconditional love by giving to others and being part of a family or community, but also working through those emotions and not holding those back and realizing that they can still, stand in their own truth and say their part and not have to worry about disrupting the balance too much. All right, number 7. 7 is an extremely deep, very serious kind of number. It's very reflective. Sometimes it can be seen as mysterious. 7s are very wise. They're full of knowledge and they always want to keep learning. Just like the 3. 3 is very curious, but it's more like a fun kind of childlike curiosity. The 7 is like, I want to know everything and I want to dive deep into it. So they'll keep asking why and want to know, the deeper questions and the questions that a lot of people may tend to shy away from, like a lot of existential questions and things. They're all about that. And they're all about figuring out and diving deeper and deeper every time. 7 is also a very spiritual number. So it's all about finding and seeking their own spiritual truth and walking in their own spiritual truth. They're very emotionally controlled as well. So like they can be a little more pragmatic in that way, but they're also very unique. 7 is an odd number. It's all about, its own path. So the 7s life lessons really revolve around being able to express their unique individualism, but really, and then really looking into the depths of their soul and establishing their own spiritual truth. Okay. All right. Number 8, Karen, your number. Number 8s are really about achievement and manifesting in the material world. You're very good at attaining things in the physical world and really putting in the work to reap the rewards in that way, because you really like to seek progress. You're, like I said, very ambitious. You have a strong personal authority as well, great willpower. And you just have a natural, 8s are very passionate, kind of fast moving energy. So it's a natural intensity that kind of pushes you forward to get things done and really want to reach the top. But I think I mentioned earlier, 8s are very much about control. Not only do you want to kind of control your life and really be able to plan it out in that way, similar to the 4, but you're seeing the bigger picture than the 4 does. But you like that control in your life. Sometimes on the shadow side, maybe a little bit too controlling in that way or too controlling of others. Some 8s can lean that way. Because of that ambitious tendencies, 8s can also tend to become workaholics. Right? Because they're always kind of like always wanting to reach that goal. So their path really is striving for their aspirations. They should be trying to reach those goals, but also learning to overcome that tendency to lean too much into the material world and find that balance between the material and the spiritual world. And think about 8, if you put it on the side, it looks like an infinity symbol. Right. So, and you can think of that as 1, the physical world, the other side, the spiritual realms. And to really master that 8 is to be able to smoothly kind of maneuver between the two and really understand that, yes, you can achieve this material wealth and status and achievements in this lifetime, but to really understand that that's really not what matters, right? Really what matters is that unconditional love and connecting to your soul that way.
How's that feel, Karen?
I don't feel like I fit.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that can, like I said, that definitely part of your lessons, but also have a lot to do with what your other numbers are. Mm-hmm. So that can really influence how the 8 comes out in your life. Mm-hmm. Right. So I'd be very curious to do your chart and find out what all your other numbers are. And maybe you're leaning more into one of the other numbers or even your birthday number. So what day were you born?
July 3rd.
The 3rd. Well, do you feel more like a lot of those 3 qualities that I mentioned? that playfulness, lightness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So you definitely, maybe you're leaning more at that birthday, your talents are coming out a lot more than what you really are aligned to those lessons in this lifetime.
What about the nines?
All right. And so 9. So 9 really is the humanitarian. They are all about, they're very altruistic, constantly putting others before themselves, but more on a grander scale. Like where the 6 was like those close related to them, they were really kind of nurturing them. 9 is all about humanity, right? They just want to help the larger groups of people. So they're very generous with their unconditional love and material wealth. And they have a really free, open heart and mind. So they're very open to different cultures, different lifestyles. They really do not discriminate. They just love everybody. And that's why 9s also really like travel, really like to do international travel and things because, like I said, they like to just really learn about other people in the world. And they have a great respect for everybody. 9 is also another spiritual number, right? Because this is a very spiritual, expansive number. Because this is the last number, 1 through 9, and then you cycle back to 1, other than you have the master numbers. But it's all about expanding, and not only just within your own life and everything, but spirituality as well. And 9s can be, because they're very passionate. They definitely, whatever they put their mind to, whatever their heart is set on, they are all in. Like they really go all into it. But they're also extremely talented. So that can be a gift, but also a challenge, because it can cause a 9 to feel like they lack direction because they could go in so many different ways. Like they're probably good at a lot of things. And so that can become a little bit confusing to a 9. That's where they really need to look into their heart and really feel like what's in alignment for them. But that's really part of their path, is continuing to work towards, humanitarian ideals, but also bringing in leadership capacity. 9, because it's this big number, right? It's the end of that cycle. It's all about being a leader as well. But it's not the leader like we talked about with the 1, which is like more about like, well, I want to be the first one. The leader in the number 9 is more about like, well, I see these injustices in the world. And so I'm going to lead something to help fight for the people that need it. And then people just naturally follow that kind of leader.
I know we are just scratching the surface, but unfortunately we are so short on time. All this information is incredible.
It really is so interesting.
I definitely feel like we need to bring you back on the show to talk a little bit more, because we haven't talked about karmic debt numbers. We haven't talked about, there's so many other things we can talk about. I do know that you do personal numerology readings and you have one-on-one coaching programs and things like that for numerology and energy healing. And you're also starting a workshop in May that teaches numerology, right? So how can people, if they want to take advantage of these programs or reach out to you, what's the best way for them to do that?
All right. So my website it's illuminatedlifehealing.com. And so my readings are all on there through the booking page on my website. You can read all about my workshop. My workshop is actually going to learn how to incorporate, you do a little bit of energy work as well, learning about the energetic body in order to gain a soul connection. So utilizing numerology to really connect to your soul's blueprint in that way. Right. So yeah, just my website has all that information. And I have, because I really like to track personal days, and personal cycles. I actually have a numerology guide for personal cycle or personal days, on my website in my shop, that if you use the code podcast, you can get it for just $1.11. And that will walk you through literally how to calculate your personal cycles and what each personal day, like the energetic gift the day brings, some advice of maybe things that you should try to schedule or do on those days, and what to things to watch out for as well. So it's really amazing. Like I said, I think it speaks very, if you like astrology and like to kind of, track according to astrology, I think you'd really be interested in this as well, because it helps, like I said, it helps summarize the energies around you each day.
Yep. Well, this has been absolutely fascinating, Lauren. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your expertise with us. I know we're going to reach out to you to get our charts done, because this is so amazing to me. We're going to add a link to your website and all that kind of stuff on our show notes. So just go to skepticmetaphysician.com, go to Lauren's episode page, and you'll see the link there. All you need to do is click it, and it gets you connected with her right away. So again, can't thank you enough, Lauren.
Well, thank you so much, Will and Karen. This has been a blast talking to you both.
It's been a lot of fun. Wonderful meeting you.
Thanks for coming along on this journey of discovery with us. We'd love to continue our conversation with you on our website at skepticmetaphysician.com or on Facebook and Instagram under Skeptic Metaphysician Podcast. If you know someone who would benefit from hearing the messages we're sharing on the show, do them and us a favor and share the show with them. It will help get the word out about us, and it may just change someone's life for the better. And if you're listening to this on the radio and you missed something, well, not to worry. All of our shows, including this one, can be found at skepticmetaphysician.com, where you can also watch the videos or even send us an email or voicemail directly from the site. We absolutely love feedback and would appreciate hearing from you. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this episode as much as we have. That's all for now. We'll see you on the next episode of The Skeptic Metaphysicians. Until then, take care.